guys! Today I'm going to review The Exorcist, the original from 1973. The Exorcist came out in 1973 and is an American supernatural horror film. It was directed by William Friedkin. The screenplay was by William Peter Blatty, based on his 1971 novel The Exorcist. Music was by Jack Nature. The film runs 122 minutes. However, there's a director's cut that runs 132 minutes, using 10 extra minutes. The film cost $12 million to make. However, it was a massive success and made back $441.3 million. It was the first horror film to be nominated for an Academy Award for Best Picture. The film had 10 Academy Award nominations, winning 2 for Best Screenplay and Best Sound. Some of the audience at the time of the film's release suffered adverse reactions to the film, including fainting and some people being sick in the cinema. The film was a great success for horror movies at the time, and studios were more willing to invest big budgets in horror films. The film stars Linda Blair, Ellen Burstyn, Max von Sydow, Lee J. Cobb and Jason Miller. Also, voice artist Mercedes McCambridge was used for the possessed voice of Reagan. She used raw eggs, cigars and whiskey to obtain the voice. So this is the 50th anniversary of The Exorcist. And what better time to review it than Halloween? Yeah! The film is basically about this girl who gets possessed by a demon. Whether it's a demon or the devil himself, we're never properly told. But it's done in such a serious way. So there's no humour in this film at all. The story's treated with respect. And that's how it should be, otherwise it would be laughed off the screen. Can you imagine if this was done by Hammer Films and you got a comical character like Michael Ripper popping up? It would totally ruin the film. It had to be done in a deadly serious way. And William Friedkin, the director, he did a brilliant job on this. He startled his cast by firing guns. He wanted shocks on the faces, so he did it by firing a gun. One actor he slapped across the face to startle them. And he's a good director. He did The French Connection. And one of the best film critics of all time, Mark Commode. This is his favourite all-time film, and I can understand why. He also did a fantastic documentary on it, The Fear of God. So if you're interested in The Exorcist, you want to watch this documentary, it's brilliant. Mark Commode also did a book on The Exorcist. The Fear of God's a brilliant documentary though. One of the best things about it's the bad luck that was involved during the making of The Exorcist. Lots of cast members died during the making of the film. And a set burnt down on its own. There was no explanation why this happened. And there seemed to be like a weird aura during the making of the film.
There were 9 deaths, which is an enormous amount of deaths connected with the film. Some very directly, like the actor Jack MacGowran, who gets killed in the film, completed shooting and died. Max von Sydow's brother died. The assistant cameraman whose wife had a baby during the shoot, the baby died. The man who refrigerated the set died. The young black night watchman.
And these weren't casualties from stunts or things like that. These were kind of men standing behind a camera all of a sudden, dropping dead.
And this happened also on the film The Omen. It's as though they didn't want these films made. The film The Exorcist spawned many sequels. The Exorcist, The Heretic in 1977, Exorcist 3 in 1990. There was also a comedy called Repossessed in 1990, which starred Linda Blair. Exorcist The Beginning in 2004, and Dominion, prequel to The Exorcist, in 2005. The Exorcist also had a TV show in 2016 to 2017. And recently we've got The Exorcist Believer in 2023. So out of all them sequels, there's only really Exorcist 3 that's worth watching. Although I haven't seen the new one, but the reviews say it's terrible. Hey, Phil! Why are modern films so bloody crap? What's so bloody scary about CGI effects? Yes, Bones, and some of these modern remakes are some of the most boringest films I've seen. These bloody remakes are never as good as the originals. Bloody pointless watching the buggers. So The Exorcist, it's strange because it opens in a foreign country, Iraq, and I like the contrast because it's bright locations contrasted with dark locations. At the beginning of the film you see a dog fight, two dogs fighting each other, and it has a disturbing start. One of the scariest scenes for me was when he's talking to this person, the priest, and the clock in the background just stops for no reason. It's subtle, but it's really good. Then the film goes to Georgetown in America, and it's a dark location, so there's lots of contrasts between bright and dark. Also, there's a contrast between scenes that are loud and then total silence. And this was intentional, to emphasise good and evil. And all the possession seems to start when the little girl played by Linda Blair, who was 14 at the time, she's playing with this Ouija board. And in the background there's a little ornament that looks like the statue in the foreign country Iraq. And while she's playing with the Ouija board, if you notice, the dial goes towards the statue in the background. So that kind of emphasises that she's being watched. And as you watch this film, it's weird because you also feel as though the evil is watching the characters in the film. So they're being observed as the audience is observing the film. That's my kind of take on it. I thought all the cast was outstanding as well. I thought Jason Miller was really good as the priest. Damien Karras, he loses his mother and he sees dream sequences of her face. And there's also this scary face of a demon that keeps popping up. I like it that he's struggling with his faith as well. Conversations with priests where he's discussing that he's losing his faith.
I need out. I'm unfit. I think I've lost my faith, Tom.
Max von Sydow, he was a young man at the time, but he has old age makeup on. I was surprised by that. It was really good. I always thought he was older than what he actually is. Linda Blair was brilliant for just 14. The way she was put through this film, all the swearing, amazing, she was only 14. Thought Ellen Burstyn was brilliant as well, probably one of the best in the film, playing the mother.
How do you go about getting an exorcism? It just so happens that somebody very close to me is probably possessed and needs an exorcism. Father Karras is my little girl.
Then that's all the more reason to forget about exorcism.
It's interesting that her character's an actress in the film, so there's the contrast between reality and fantasy. And it gives you the feeling that films are only films, with her being an actress, but this is real. It's happening in a home. Cobb plays Kinderman, the detective. He reminds me a lot of the character Columbo. I get a very Columbo vibe off him.
Bert Jennings, good father, was found at the bottom of those steps leading to M Street with his head turned completely around, facing backwards.
There's lots of standout moments. The swearing in the film.
Be powerless to harm her. Your mother sucks cocks in hell, Karras, you fake.
Bloody hell. She bloody swears more than me. There's the crucifix scene that's still disturbing today. There's the iconic Exorcist steps where the priest falls down them. And you get fans still going to the steps, worshipping them, like writing on them and stuff. And of course there's the famous pea soup scene where she's sick in his face. Even the head turning scene's quite disturbing, even though you know it's a dummy. It's the way it's done. I thought that was really quite shocking. The score's brilliant as well. It's really iconic. You still hear it in documentaries and things. And that great shot where the priest standing outside the house and the light and from the houses on them. That's really symbolic. What surprised me most about the film was, although there's scenes where there's lots of gross stuff happening, there's loads of subtle moments. It's quite subtle in places. And a lot of modern audience would say it was slow, but I think the slow parts are some of the best. So the film's all about good and evil, and it's sort of a little bit depressing by the end of it, even though the coward, the girl at the end, the priests, you still get the feeling that evil's more powerful than good. And it's done in such a serious way that you believe what you're watching. It's almost documentary feeling. And it's weird, when I was a kid, I wondered why churchgoers didn't seem to want to talk about the devil and they didn't believe in him. They're always going on about God. And yet, when I used to ask, what about the devil? They used to say, don't be so stupid. Don't believe in that bloody nonsense. But if you believe in one, shouldn't you believe in the other? So overall, it's an amazing film, that it's treated with respect, that it's done totally seriously, and it's not a send-up. And I think I'd class it in maybe me top 3 horror films. It's joint second with The Omen, and number 1's The Haunting from 1963. But all 3 of them films, they're all unseen forces, which I think works really well for horror films. So out of 10, I think I'd give this one 10, 11. 11 out of 10. So good, a proper classic. What did you think, once? Did you like it? Bloody good film, Phil. Classic. This is how bloody horror films should be made. Instead of all this bloody walkie bloody nonsense they do now. Okay, everybody, bye. Like, subscribe and share. Happy Halloween. Bye. Bye.
The Exorcist.
And this is the only man who could possibly save her.